All right, everybody. Welcome to the Revitalize the Total Woman podcast. I'm your host, Lakeisha McKnight, and we're live right here on the Spreaker platform and definitely connected to the iHeartRadio. So before we dive into any information on tonight, we're going to share that we're live in several places, on several platforms on social media before we dive into the main content at hand. So first and foremost, I am going to try to share it in the community group. We have a community group on Facebook that I am going to share to first. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. And while I'm doing this, I encourage you to also share this episode as well. So I'm going to go ahead and type in join me now as I am live on the platform providing an overview I'm still here. Most will be. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take this information here and I am going to share it again in a group that we have on Facebook. And the group is closely connected to the podcast. Okay. And I'm going to share with you right now how it's closely connected. All right. Now, this podcast is a media outlet for a nonprofit that's based in Chesapeake, Virginia, by the name of Women of Elevation Career Services International. And you see, the mission, therefore, of the podcast and the nonprofit is really to empower women with the tools to be able to create, relate, and elevate. Create, relate, and elevate. And so those are the three core areas within the nonprofit organization and therefore for the podcast. And so we have a community group on Facebook entitled Women of Elevation as well. So feel free, if you are connected on Facebook, to look up under the groups section or category, look up Women of Elevation, and you can request to join the group. All right. So this podcast, as I'm sharing it on the podcast fan page, this particular podcast goes live every Tuesday and Wednesday around 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to mark it down on your calendar just to join us here live, you would be able to do so. Okay. You'll be able to join us. And so the best thing of all when joining us on the platform, you have the ability to engage. So you can ask a question, you can leave a comment, all of that good stuff, all that jazz, right? Because that's what we do. Okay, that's what we do. And we love to engage every Tuesday and Wednesday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So here's the deal. We started last night at 8:00. We gave just a little bit of an idea of what the next 4 months are going to look like. So that's May, June, July, and August. Pretty much the spring months and the summer months here in the United States of America, specifically on the East Coast. And so what I'm going to do tonight is give you an idea of even more specifics of what the podcast will look like as far as our topics at hand. So for the first 2 months here, you have May, you have June. We're going to focus on professional relationship development. Again, professional relationship development. And then for the months of July and August, we're going to focus more specifically on personal relationship development. Personal relationships. So, of course, it's a little self-explanatory. What we're going to do is give you some tips and ideas on how to enhance the relationship. But not just that. We're going to highlight those concerns that seems to be prevalent within those type of relationships. So, for example, we're definitely going to talk to those, right? Those who are in professional relationships in the corporate world, and then those who have professional relationships in the entrepreneurial world. And so that's what we're going to be looking at. But first, okay, we're first going to look to those of you who may be connected within memberships like meetup groups or associations or even organizations where you may be employed at. We're going to focus on those particular type of relationships during the rest of the month of May. So starting next week, that's what we're going to focus in on. And then for the month of June, we're going to focus in on relationships, professional relationships within the business world. So that's what we're going to look at. Then for the month of July, right? The month of July, we're going to focus in on relationships that really are personal in nature. Okay, personal in nature. Now, what I'm talking about, we're going to hint at, like parental, if I can get the word out, parental relationships a little bit at the beginning of the month of July, but we're really going to focus in on the dating relationship, those of you who are dating or courting. Okay. And then we're going to talk specifically to those who are married. We're going to talk about enhancing the marriage relationship during the month of August. So that's what we're looking at. That's what the overview of our podcast and the topics we're going to cover. And then we're also going to give you some notes and some nuggets inside of the community group on Facebook. We're going to ask engaging questions. We're going to really, really, really get down and be very, very 100% straight with those of you in the group. So this is why we're encouraging you to get connected to the group so that you can get locked in and participate in the dialogue. All right. So again, thank you to those of you who do join in live. And I do see, of course, that Kimmy Brownie, that's right, Janine, she's listening in live on the platform. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for connecting back with us on the Spreaker platform. Facebook wants to take away our audio live version there. It's okay. We can go back to our home, which is right here on the Spreaker platform. We've always been here, right? But we just added the Facebook Live broadcast element to it. So we're back home primarily until we incorporate a second platform. And so we thank you, each and every one of you, for being here live with us on tonight. Remember, we're going to be back here next week. We're going to start to dive into talking about professional relationships within associations and organizations that we may be connected to. All right, so be prepared. We have some great stuff at hand. We may even give you some activities that you can work on yourself. We're going to let you know about events that are to come, such as our Relate 2018 Telesummit event. That's right. That's coming up. And then also our Relate 2018 seminar. Okay. And that is for enhancing relationships. And we think and we believe that majority of what we're going to cover is personal relationships during that seminar, because that is huge. That's an area that's really near and dear to the hearts, especially of women, right? We really focus in on those personal relationships. So we're going to definitely delve into that a bit more deeper. But I appreciate each and every one of you listening in from the various countries around the world who do tune in. And we know that there are many of you from Ireland, many of you from Italy and China and, oh my gosh, the Philippines that listen into this podcast. So we appreciate your listenership. We thank you so, so very much. And we look forward to sowing even more great value into your lives. Be blessed, and we'll speak with you all on next week here on the Revitalize the Total Woman podcast that empowers you with the tools to be able to create, relate, and elevate.